Call Don now, 682-1270. News Talk 1270 KIML.
News Talk 1270 KIML. Don Carpenter Show. 8:07 here at the studios. And let me adjust my volume here. Okay, that sounds a little bit better. I was a little bit low in my headphones there for a second. I don't know why. I think I'm going deaf. So, the big story today, we talked about it a little bit in the first hour. I played the announcement. I'm going to play it again for you in just a minute. But I figured we'd hold off the talk about Liz Cheney running for Senate until, a little bit more decent hour. So here's your chance. If you want to call in, do you support Liz Cheney's run for Senate? Or do you plan on donating? Do you plan on campaigning for Liz Cheney? Or do you support Senator Enzi? I want to hear from both sides on this. 682-1270, 682-1270. And with that, we're actually going to start the audio. If anybody does want to call in with any comments, feel free to at any point. Well, actually, we'll hold off on that for just a second. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air.
Hi, Don.
Hey, how you doing today?
Yeah, I know when you're in politics, you can't have a one stance. You have to either be completely with me or against me. But you have to. There's going to be compromise no matter who's doing it up there. But the trick is to be the one to compromise 20%, not 80%. And what our Republicans are doing now, they're compromising 80% of what we want and holding on to that little bit of 20%. Well, that's a loss. And much as I like Senator Enzi personally, I think he's starting to give us losses instead of wins.
Well,
so maybe it's time to put in somebody new.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, what in particular is it that Senator Enzi's compromised on? Because obviously I don't know his full voting record. I mean, is there anything in particular that people are kind of mad at him about? Because he doesn't support Obamacare. He's against the NSA spying. So I'm not quite sure what it is.
You ever heard of the internet tax?
Well, okay, that is.
He is full-fledged, 100% behind that.
Well, he did write it.
Everybody you talk to are full-fledged, 100% against it.
Okay.
Why should Wyoming be taking sales tax for somebody in Colorado and Illinois, and then be responsible for sending it to those states? How about if that state wants a sales tax on it, either hike up the price on what they're selling, so there's no quote sales tax, or like it is now, if I'm buying something from California, their sales tax doesn't apply to me because I am not in California.
Right. Now you got to remember now the internet sales tax bill that was passed only gives the states the option to enforce it. They don't have to enforce it.
Well, Mr. Enzi or Senator Enzi has made clear that he tried to say Wyoming's losing so much money from this, but I don't see where we're losing so much money from this. If anything, we're saving money because we're buying all this, our shop, you've been here long enough to realize that our shopping is limited.
Oh, quite limited, especially around here.
But, yeah, I can go online and hit a Target or, some other such store that, I see products I want that I know somewhere else. I can have it sent right to me. And so I see mostly, since we have the smallest population in the United States, we're actually saving money because we're not giving into this, there's no sales tax. Maybe the bill was passed, and how it passed was, that there's the option. That's not what he wanted. He wanted full-on internet sales tax.
Okay, yeah, that's one issue that I could imagine a lot of people would probably be against. So Yeah. Okay. It looks like we lost you. Let's try another call. I don't know if the caller's still there. Okay. 682-1270, 682-1270. If you do call in when we have somebody in line, just hang on, and we'll get to everybody. We'll get to everybody, and we'll give you. Let's see. We'll give you a few. We'll give you a minute to kind of catch up here. Here we go. Got to wait for that 7-second delay. And I just got to remind you, if you do call in and I'm talking to somebody else on the line, just hang on. We'll get to you. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air.
Good morning. How's everything going this morning, Don?
Good. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine. My name is Gary. I just wanted to make a comment to your previous caller. I used to be against the internet sales tax as well, until I realized that not having the sales tax gives a 6% disadvantage to Campbell County stores. The previous caller said he can get things cheaper online, which I agree is correct. However, the online stores have an automatic 6% advantage, because if he buys it locally, he has to pay the sales tax. If he buys it on the internet, he doesn't. So 6% of the advantage that you get is just by buying it online, where you don't have to pay the sales tax. So I think that's one of the important things to keep in mind, and that it hurts local business. It gives in-state businesses a 5 or 6% price disadvantage right off the bat.
Yeah, and it's then I think that was Senator Enzi's line of reasoning when he wrote the bill. He was a local business owner here, so I mean, I guess he was looking out for the local businesses. As the other important thing to remember is right now, Amazon and the other big online retailers, they build their warehouses in states that that don't have sales tax. So what's going to happen is, if everybody has a sales tax, they'll build their warehouses in place that it's easier to ship from,
such as Montana, where there's no sales tax.
Right. So, but I guess the point of that was that, I mean, it will draw some of those to Wyoming, because it might be less expensive to ship from Wyoming if you're shipping to Texas or someplace like that. So, I mean, the idea was to kind of draw some of them to the area as well. And they'll probably get other tax breaks as well.
I'm not a business owner, but I certainly can understand and appreciate the previous caller's comments. I used to, I'm sort of against any type of a tax, but this gives online retailers an instant 6% advantage over Campbell County. So not having the tax actually makes it less competitive for local merchants. So thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, thanks for the call. And I think another important thing to remember with the internet sales tax is we were supposed to be collecting it anyway. I mean, the states were supposed to be collecting it anyway, and that's it's just it's not a new tax, is what I'm trying to say. And let's go back to the phones. News Talk 1270 KIML. You're on the air.
Yeah, I have another comment. I am a local Gillette business owner, and I just wanted to point an example out. And with the sales tax, I'm in favor of it. For the last caller said, just for competitive reasons. And there's many examples throughout my business of this happening, but just recently, I mean, literally within the last couple of days, a customer came to me with a product they wanted to purchase from me, and they could buy that product for, let's say, $100 online. And I would actually say, okay, you know what? I'll even beat that price. I will sell you that product for $99 instead of $100 where you'd buy it online. And they still went online to buy it because they didn't have to pay sales tax. And so I could even sell a product for less than you could buy it online, but people will still buy online and not buy local through me just because I have to collect that 6% and they don't have to pay it online. And I've missed a lot of sales because of that. I mean, the sales that I'm talking about, though, are like, $6,000, $10,000 sales for products, which makes a large difference in sales tax. I mean, you're talking about $600 on a $10,000 purchase. And And it's I've always thought that was extremely unfair for people to be able to purchase things online and not have to pay the sales tax, and then us local businesses here in Gillette miss out on these sales because it's just unfair, and it's unfair for us business owners. And I feel like it should be fair all across the board, and everybody should have to pay sales tax, and that will bring more business to Gillette. I know it will.
And like I mentioned right before I picked up your call, the other thing to remember is we were supposed to be paying the sales tax in the first place. Now it's just going to be collected by the seller. That's the only difference.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. So I definitely see it every day in my business. It's a extreme disadvantage for me, and I think that if we did, actually enforce that law, that it would not only benefit my business, but benefit every business in Gillette. And all we're wanting is for it to be fair. We don't want an advantage for us. All we want is it to be fair and competitive all across the board, rather than, like the last caller said, having us have a 6% disadvantage for any other business if you buy out of state. So that's all I had to comment.
Okay, thanks a lot. Excellent points. And the lines are just wow. As soon as I dump a line, another one picks up. Let's go back to the phone. Okay. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air.
Hey, Don, I lost you to dip. You have people putting words in my mouth. I never did say because it's cheaper online. I'm saying because there's something you can't get here, I go somewhere else for. Do you see a Target store in Gillette? Anybody?
Oh, yeah.
No. So I'm going to go online if there's something at that Target I need to get. Some of the books and magazines I get. Some of the reloading equipment I get. Gun store won't get it because it's something they don't want to get and they'd be stuck with.
Yeah.
Even though I want a special order it for me.
Oh, yeah. And
so I will go online to get things I cannot get here. If it's something I can get here, well, by all means, I've spent a lot of money in Campbell County, spent over prices I could have paid, including shipping and everything from somewhere else, because it is Campbell County.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know if anybody was saying that that's what you were doing, but
that's exactly what your one caller said.
Okay, well,
your first caller, he said I was looking for the cheap price. No, I'm looking for something that's not here. If you're looking for something that's not here, then I don't see what these businesses are squealing about, because if they had it, I would be buying it here.
Okay, and that's fair enough. But you got to admit, though, there are a lot of people that do go to the store and they try something out and then they buy it online. I mean, there are people that do that.
There may be some people that do that, but it's not the majority.
Oh, yeah, I sure hope not. I know. I mean, I'll be honest. I've been guilty of doing that myself. I try not to do it as much as possible, but radio guy, I don't make a whole lot of money sometimes, so I've been guilty of doing that. And I mean, it does hurt local businesses. I get both sides of the argument on this one. I definitely get both sides of the argument.
Like when I need something, I don't want to wait a week for it to get here. If it's here in Campbell County, I'm going to get it right now. Well,
especially, and if you're buying something large, the shipping ends up being more than the sales tax anyway.
Oh, you betcha.
Yeah. So
it's not. What I'm advocating is there should be no internet sales tax. The whole thing's another bureaucratic boondoggle. Everybody complains about the IRS. Well, y'all just trying to make another branch of it, or another section of it that has to deal with this. And to the businesses here in town, if you got what I want, I'm going to go to you first. Usually it means paying more getting it from here, but I don't care, because then I don't have to worry about shipping and all that stuff. I have it right in my hands, and if something goes wrong, I can come back to you. That's my point.
Yeah.
Thanks, Don.
Yep. Thanks a lot for clearing that up. Let's go back to the phones. They're still, this is just burning the phones up. We might just take this right up to the sports. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air.
Yeah, Don. Hey, this internet tax, it's not, these guys are calling up saying they want it to be fair. Well, in reality, if they want it to be fair, then they should have to charge every tourist that goes into their store the tax from their state and send it to Illinois or to California or to Texas, wherever that person's from. That's what the internet people have to do. And, if they were just paying Wyoming tax, it'd be different. But now they're paying taxes for every state in the United States. They have to collect taxes for. You know how complicated that's going to be for them people?
Well, now,
that's all I got to say.
Yeah, and the way it's going to work is the smaller internet retailers that do under $1 million of business are exempt from this. And what's going to happen is the larger businesses are going to probably subscribe to a service that collects the sales tax for you and remits it to each individual state. So that's how that's supposed to work. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air. Okay, 3, 2, 1. You're on the air. Okay. News Talk 1270 KIML. You're on the air. Okay, we got you there. Maybe not. One more try. Okay. 682-1270, 682-1270. The lines are open now. I think we pretty much lost everybody there. Not sure exactly what happened, so we'll let the 7-second delay catch up. I know the lines were burning up there for a second. And the reason we've been talking about this is Liz Cheney running for Senate. I guess the big issue that a lot of people have with Senator Enzi is the internet sales tax, or the Marketplace Fairness Act. That's the official name of it. News Talk 1270 KIML. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing this morning?
Oh, just lovely. I've been listening in here, and I'm a little bit confused. Am I supposed to feel guilty because I find something cheaper online and buy it?
Oh, no. Nobody's saying that, but it does hurt the local businesses. That's the trade-off you get.
If I need something today, I get it today for town. If I can find something cheaper online, I buy it online. And really, I don't think one guy was talking about fairness to the business. What about fairness to me? You know what? I'm getting nickel and dime to death out here on taxes. So if I can find a way around it, I find a way around it in everything I do. And I'm sure that guy does the same thing. But he wants me to pay taxes to all the other states. I don't think that's fair at all.
Well, here's the catch with that. You're supposed to pay that sales tax at the end of the year when you file your taxes at the end of the year. You're supposed to remit that sales tax to Wyoming anyway. So this isn't a new tax. This is just collecting a tax that already exists.
All right, I guess that's all I got to say.
Okay, well, yeah. I mean, I get the idea, and I mean, I think we've all done it before. I mean, I can be honest. I've never paid sales tax on something I bought online, and I do think it's almost a patriotic duty to avoid all taxes that you're not supposed to pay. But I mean, this is something we're supposed to be paying. That's the point. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air.
Don, I keep hearing people yell about fairness.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever read Atlas Shrugged?
No, I got about 100.
Read The Fountainhead? There's a whole lot of people in that book that scream about let's be fair. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, it's exactly why I can't stand it when somebody says that we got to be fair.
Well,
we got to be competitive.
Now,
compete better than somebody else. If I can do something better than you, well then that's not me being unfair. It's me doing a better job. So it's up to them who are doing less, do more. Don't cry and say it's not fair and expect the government to do something about it. I'm going to lose you here in a second, Ron.
Okay, yeah. I mean, another good point. It's definitely. I mean, it's a good point that we shouldn't expect the government to give unfair advantages to other people. I guess the point of the internet sales tax, though, was to give a level playing field. Let's be honest. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air.
Yeah, Don, you keep saying that we were supposed to collect this tax anyways. Well, no, we weren't. I've never had to collect tax for California before. I've never had to collect tax for Washington or Illinois before. Never. I've had to collect Wyoming tax, but I've never had to collect for any of these other states before, like it's mandatory now. If somebody from California orders something from me online, I got to pay California sales tax plus Wyoming sales tax. So tell me how that's fair.
No, if you buy something online, you're only going to pay the sales tax of the state you're in, not the state that you're buying from.
No. If somebody from California, but the business owner, the guy running that business, has to pay California sales tax now, and he has to pay Washington sales tax when somebody from Washington buys something online from him. You know, he's never had to pay that state before.
Well, what's going to happen is
he pay the state that you're in.
Yeah,
That's how it's always been.
It won't be double taxed. I mean, you'll only be paying one tax. It'll be whatever state the buyer's in.
Right. So then, how do I explain that to Wyoming when they want to know where all my sales tax money is for the stuff that I sold? Oh, I had to send it to California. Oh, I had to send it to Illinois. You know.
Well, I mean, do you sell stuff online?
Well, no, I don't. But I'm just saying, as a general rule.
Oh, okay. I was hoping we got.
It's not right.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping we got somebody that sold stuff online. Hopefully,
no.
Yeah.
But still, think about it. We didn't used to have to pay them state taxes ever.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the thing is, you won't be paying two taxes. That's the point. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air.
Yeah, I was just surprised to hear a local Gillette, Wyoming talk show host in favor of more taxes. This isn't California or New York. But that's all I got to say.
Okay. Once again, let me get this clear so you understand. This is not a new tax. This is an existing tax. Wyoming sales tax has always existed. This is not a new tax. This is not a new tax. This is not a new tax. Let me get that through your head. This is not new. This is collecting an existing tax. Okay, one more call, then we're going to do sports. Okay? We'll try one more call, then we'll do sports. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air.
Hey, Donnie Carpenter, we having fun yet?
Oh, I'm having a blast. You have no idea how fun this is.
First thing I want to tell you is, welcome to Wyoming. Don't be confusing people with facts. They've already made up their mind.
Oh, well, it does. That's fine. That's fine. It's part of the job. I have fun with it, so that's the important thing.
Yeah, true professional. Doing something you love to do and getting paid for it. What more can a little old fat guy ask for, right?
Well, that is true. That is true. I'm not that old yet, but I'm getting fatter.
Just a couple of little side thoughts there for you. We got two groups running here. We got the slash and burn, no compromise people, and I'm surprised, and somewhere along the line it's going to come up, one of Mike Enzi's favorite statements is, when you look at any issue, you're going to realize that we agree wholeheartedly on probably 80% of it. We just got to negotiate the other 10%, and I'm sure that the rabbit ride's going to grab that one and run with it before it's all said and done.
Yeah.
They are not going to compromise on nothing. And that's what I said. Don't be handing out facts because they've already made up their mind. They don't want to hear any facts.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be honest. I mean, compromise just for the sake of compromise isn't always a good thing. But the
rabbit ride won't buy that one.
Yeah, I just don't see Senator Enzi as the rhino type. I mean, coming from out east,
he isn't the rhino type, but he's not as rabid as. And even there, this is a red-leaning state, and they're pretty conservative. But we've still got just one little element in there that's even more radical than that, and that's the ones that are making the big wave.
Well, and I'm surprised that Liz Cheney is appealing to those because, the Bush administration wasn't exactly far right, and especially with economic issues.
Well, if you would have paid attention, you would have realized the last 4.5 years of the Bush administration, Cheney was distancing himself from Bush right along the way. And I'm sorry, but, she can paint it any way she wants to. Liz Cheney's still a carpetbagger.
Well, she should be on the show next week, so we'll definitely cover that.
Oh yeah, she'll be on your show because she wants to get the airtime, and she thinks she might have some friends in Campbell County, but I think she's barking up the wrong tree because the people in this county, for the most part, are loyalists, and they're going to stick by Mike because he's their boy.
Well, I've already reached out to him. We're trying to figure out the time, so she'll be on the show sometime next week, and hopefully we'll have Senator Enzi on as well, so we can.
Mike is easy to get a hold of.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, I'll let you go, but like I said, just you watch somewhere along the line, they're going to talk about his famous statement about we agree on 80% of any issue. We just got to work out the details on the other 20%, and they're going to try and turn that against him.
Well, and we'll be ready for that. I was prepared for that one.
And as far as the internet sales tax goes, I'm sure somebody out there can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, when he first ran for the Senate, for the United States Senate, that was like a cornerstone of his election campaign, was he wanted to start taxing the sales on the internet right from the get.
Yeah.
It's taken him all these years just to get it to fruition.
Well, I mean, I when I interviewed him about that, he mentioned that he's been trying to do that for quite a while.
Yeah, when he first ran for the U.S. Senate, that was one of his cornerstones. Was he thought it was unfair and he wanted to tax internet sales, and that was when he first ran for the Senate.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's been a big part of what he does. So I mean, he was a local business owner. I can't blame him for that.
Yeah. All righty. Well, you have a good day unless you decide to do otherwise.
Well, I'll try to. I'll try to. And sorry to keep you waiting, Chad. Welcome. Every time you come in, there's something going on.
That's all right. That's good stuff. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. It's well, we'll talk a little bit more about the serious stuff on the other side of the break, but I don't want to keep you too long since I've kept you waiting for like 5 minutes already.
No problem.
Just give us a little bit of a kind of a summary of what we're looking for in the sports update here.
We got rodeo stuff, I believe. We have All-Star Game results, and we might hear from Coach Vic Wilkerson of the Campbell County Camels. Talk about his camp and why it's good for young kids to go. Okay,
there you go. And sorry to keep you waiting. And
no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, yep. And the All-Star Game again. I might have to go back and watch the highlights of that. That did sound like a pretty good game.
Yeah, it was a pretty exciting one.
Yeah, shutout. It can't be good pitching.
True enough.
There you go. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. If you want to call in about the internet sales tax stuff, we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. I busied the lines out right now, but we will talk about it when we come back from break. We'll be right back.
He likes turtles too. Don Carpenter on News Talk 1270 KIML. Call Don now, 682-1270. News Talk 1270 KIML.
News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. I had no idea that this was going to be such a hot topic. Just the internet sales tax part of it. We haven't even gotten around to talking about Liz Cheney yet. But the lines are open, 682-1270, 682-1270. And I want to make something absolutely positively clear about this. I don't support Liz Cheney, and I don't support Mike Enzi. For one thing, I don't support people in primaries because normally the differences aren't that big that it's worth vilifying somebody over one little thing. And, I like Enzi. I like Liz Cheney. I mean, they're both solid candidates. And, of course, they're going to have differences, and that's what the primary process is about. And what I do here, and I know a lot of people aren't quite used to this yet, and they expect their radio hosts to campaign for politicians. I don't campaign for politicians. I can barely be bothered to vote. My job here is to give everybody a chance to say their piece. So I'm going to have Liz Cheney on next week at some point, and she will be able to, say what she's going to say. And then I'll have Mike Enzi on. He'll be able to say what he's going to say. And if a Democrat decides to run against him, I'll have him on, and he can say what he's going to say. But, I don't campaign for politicians. I've never donated to a politician. I've never campaigned for a politician. That's not what I do. I'm a radio guy. And I know a lot of people aren't used to that with their radio hosts, especially around here, but that's the way I do my show. Let's go to the phones. News Talk 1270, KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air.
Hey, there's one thing I don't think people realize, that the American people are all about the dollar. Now, if your previous caller said
if he sold something for $10,000 and he would collect $600 in sales tax, the American people will save the $600. I think they care more about the dollar than they do loyalty. So, in a way, this would be something to keep the money in the community.
Well, especially the way the economy has been the last few years. I mean, people got to save as much as they can. And, okay.
Absolutely. If you can save $600 on $10,000 purchase, you'll save the $600. If you can save $60 on a $1,000 purchase, you'll save the $60. If you can save $6 on a $100 purchase, you will save that. American people will do that.
Especially when you're supposed to be paying the tax anyway. I mean, this isn't new.
That's right. I was against that. What Senator Enzi wants to do, but now I think I'm changing my mind, and I think I would be for it. The simple fact is, it would help the local businesses out.
Yeah, and I've said this a bunch of times. When I first saw this, I was against it too, and then I read more about it, and I talked to Senator Enzi, and it made a lot of sense. Once you know about it, it does make sense.
Well, like I say, that's probably why the internet purchases have gotten so big, is because they don't have to pay the tax. And now if it was taxed, maybe more people would buy locally. I probably would.
Yeah, well, see, there you go. There's an example from somebody that would actually buy local.
Well, I run a business too, but my business is a service business, and I don't buy or sell online, so it doesn't really make that much difference to me. But what it does do, it would put more money in the community, and maybe the internet sales wouldn't be so popular then.
Well, I mean, and even then, I think the good internet retailers will find ways to cut costs and still be cheaper, and I don't think anybody's going to be hurt by this.
Well, business is about competition. You know, if you can sell the same product, the exact same product for a lesser price, like I say, the American people are going to save the money because it's all about the dollar.
Yep, and I hate to cut you short, but the lines are still blowing up, and excellent points, excellent points. News Talk 1270, KIML, you're on the air.
Hey, Don.
Hey, how's it going?
You're absolutely right. This is all been around for a long time. Ever since they decided they could, pry nickels out of our fingers.
Oh, well.
But what's different now is the way. Don't you remember as a kid sending off for something? Every time you mail order something, taxes were supposed to be taken then, but you just pay California sales tax if you ordered something from California, or if you lived from California and you had to pay sales tax. The same as they want here, but in internet. But now the government seeing that, oh, geez, look at all the money we could be getting. That's why the big push for this went on. If we didn't have if nothing was being sold over the internet, well, then it'd just be porn. But what would be left? It's just another way of them saying, hey, look, we can get more money. And if they would have came out a long time ago and said, oh, hey, wait a minute, you're buying something from California, you need to pay California sales tax. And if they really want to get on that, just tell the businesses, okay, if you're in California, then you add, I don't even know what their tax is. Let's say if you're buying something from Wyoming, then you add 6% to that price of that object and call her good. Because whoever's going to pay more, it's like if the business has to pay a penny more, then that penny more they're being charged, they're going to pass on to the customer, because this is a capitalist society and we need to make our money that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, I could definitely see that point of view.
But, you get these people, one guy saying everybody's a bunch of extremists, and, it's just a bunch of people passionate about a cause. Well, and, so what makes us different from our basis, because we'd be passionate about a cause.
And there's nothing at all wrong with that either.
And you notice that most of the people against this thing, we give our reasons, but then you have a lot of the other people that are for it name call us, start calling us names. I always figured, when you was on the losing side of argument, that's when you started calling people names.
Well, yeah, and I try not to. I don't engage in that kind of stuff. I know at least I try not to.
Very subtly.
Yeah.
But it's not like you're calling somebody real bad names. You're just calling extremists. They're one way. They're a faction. Why not just say if these guys really believe that and leave it at that?
Yeah, and I guess I hate to cut you short, but the lines are still blowing up. It'll be interesting to see where Liz Cheney actually stands on the Marketplace Fairness Act, because we don't even know she's against it yet. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Don.
Hey,
the issue really isn't for the end consumer, because the end consumer, you're right. They're supposed to be paying that use tax. And so if I go over to, let's say I go up to Montana, buy a TV, $500. As soon as I come back to Wyoming, I'm supposed to pay the tax difference on that TV to Wyoming. Because Montana doesn't have a sales tax, it's all fine, whatever. If I do the same thing over to South Dakota, though, now I'm being taxed for South Dakota sales tax. Plus, when I come back, now I have to pay use tax to Wyoming. They're supposed to anyway. On the internet, if I mail order something from South Dakota, I don't pay a tax. I'm supposed to pay a use tax, which you're correct on, but I don't pay the sales tax from South Dakota. Now, so as a consumer, it's not that big of a change. However, for the business, now if I'm wholly in Wyoming, now I have to, as a business, I have to collect sales tax. So let's say from someone from California calls, order something. I'm supposed to collect California sales tax and remit that back to California. And that's where the problem lies. It isn't with the end consumer. It's with the small business that actually sells on the internet.
Okay.
And there's somewhere on the order of 10,000 taxing jurisdictions inside the United States.
Right.
Now I'm going to have to outsource that taxing collection. And now, let's say 5 years down the road, this passes, and I'm remitting payments to California for the California users that buy my stuff. Now what happens when California says, oh, I don't think you're sending enough money in, we need more? Now, never being in California, how is that supposed to be resolved?
Well, okay. There's a couple issues here. There's a couple issues here that I want to address. Number one, there's an exemption for any business that sells more than $1 million or less than $1 million online. So small businesses, really small businesses, wouldn't be affected. The other thing is the way this is going to be implemented is there's going to be a service like you have your credit card service that collects your credit card payments for you. There'll be a service that collects the taxes and splits it up between the states. It's almost like trucking companies use with their IFTA fuel tax. They have a service that remits the right amount of tax per state. So there's already infrastructure in place to do that. So it'll be a little bit of an imposition on businesses, but not a whole lot. And let's keep going to the phones. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show. You're on the air.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the state of Wyoming has a sales tax rate of 4%. We in Campbell County and Gillette have 6% because we keep voting for the 1% sales tax increase, as well as because of our Madison water pipeline, we also voted for another 1% sales tax increase. So everybody keeps saying state sales tax is 6% when I believe it's only 4%.
Right, and I think it would be up to the state to decide whether that extra 2% would go, into internet sales or not. And I guess that would depend on where you're located in the state. And but then again, if people are so upset about this, they can always petition their state legislators to not collect the internet sales tax.
Well, and the other part of that is I've heard a bunch of different opinions on this so far this morning, and it seems like it's a really muddy subject, because you've got to deal with the availability of parts. I've lived here for 30 years, and there are times when I go into a store and there's something that's close to what I want, but not it, or they just don't even have it. And so they'll say, well, we can order it for you. And that's great. It might take a couple of days to do that. And some businesses will do that and not charge you shipping, but other businesses will do that and charge you shipping and tax on that, even if it's coming from one of their branches out of state or maybe in a different part of the state. The thing is, if you're buying something online, like let's say Summit Racing, like if you're going to buy car parts for your truck or your car, you go down to Napa, you go down to O'Reilly, you go, somewhere else, a mom and pop, automotive place or mechanic shop. They might be able to get the same parts for you, but they're going to be 20% more expensive, and that's without tax included. And it's because we in Wyoming have such a small population. We can't get things in volume like you can in a city. I mean, they can supply things in such high volume that they get a discount rate on it. Not so much in Wyoming. So there are reasons why you go into a store and you hear that, well, we can order it for you because, yeah, they've only got so much overhead and they've got to appeal to the mass market. And sometimes if you're not right in the middle of that, the highest demand product, you're out of luck, pal. So the only place you can go to get it is online.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of in a unique situation here. I mean, Wyoming is kind of, it's kind of isolated, especially, small cities like this. It's a unique challenge, and there's a lot of things that'll need to be worked out over the, as far as how it's implemented and stuff, and how it affects the community. Well, I guess that remains to be seen.
Well, I know the community here, I always try to shop locally when I can. And sometimes even that's hard to do because some of the businesses in town are not owned locally. They're owned by out-of-state entities. And I'm not talking about Walmart or anything like that. I mean, yeah, every dollar you spend in Wyoming does help people in Wyoming because it pays the wages of the workers. But then when you've got to deal with, well, we can't get it, or, we don't know how to order that, or we don't have that catalog, or we don't have that supplier, you've got to go online, and now all this is going to do is it's going to drive prices up more. The situation you're talking about with, there's a service out there that will figure out the income tax or the sales tax on whatever you're buying online or whatever. That's great, but it's going to cost more for the end user. And we're in a recession. I don't care what anybody says. We're in a recession. We've been in a recession. This is not something that we need now. What it's doing is it's taking money out of the pocket of the consumer and putting it into the government. And what does the government do best but spend money? And sometimes it's on good things, and most of the times it's not, at least in my opinion. Yeah,
I mean, I definitely get what you're saying, and it's I guess all of that remains to be seen. We might have time for one more call. Okay. And, wow, we blew through that hour like it was nothing. In the next hour, we're going to talk to Cheryl Ringer from the Energy City Voices. Their new signing will be in to talk with us. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow when we have a little bit more time. I wish I'd started a little bit earlier. If I'd known, we didn't even get the chance to talk about Liz Cheney. That's how busy this hour was. News Talk 1270 KIML, Don Carpenter Show.
For the latest on the show, follow Don on Facebook. Just search for Don Carpenter Radio. News Talk 1270 KIML.